So what is this gun for? Realistically, this is my competition match gun. Mainly USPSA hip factor matches. A lot of places in my area do outlaw matches. It's basically USPSA, but they follow the same rules, but USPSA doesn't allow rifles. They allow rifles. So it's rifle only, usually about 40 to 42 rounds per stage. Very quick, a lot of barriers, and it's a good time. So I plan to do a lot of PCSL, which is mainly two gun, which I think this gun will be great for. So in the basis of understanding why I have what I have on here or don't have, this isn't a fighting rifle, even though it is a fighting rifle. It's mainly meant for competition. All right, let's get that squared away. Okay, get down into the nut and butt of it. The overall upper is a BCM at its core. It's a BCM 12.5. Why did I go with the 12.5? Well, when I bought it right at the beginning of 2021, there really wasn't much available, and the 12.5 inch was available. So I bought that. I would have probably bought an 11.5, but I've been extremely happy with the 12.5. It's short enough and maneuverable enough in between barriers and things like that. It is no issue. As far as velocity, I get plenty of velocity. I think it's a good middle ground between 11.5 and 14.5 versus 16.5. It really works great. So the rail is a Ripcord Industries LDR1. It's their 11.75 inch rail. I love it. Totally awesome. I mainly bought it because of the looks. As far as it gets pretty much as close to the threads of the barrel that you can, so you get that full rail space, which I really wanted. It makes it a little bit more balanced, in my opinion. It kind of needed a little bit more front weight. And then when you throw on things like a suppressor, I mean, you can't argue that mount up. It's amazing. I couldn't really ask for more on that. So it is a 3-prong flash hider. I do want this to be combat applicable, as far as I'm not doing the gamer thing with a huge muzzle brake that honestly is annoying to everybody else around you, even though it does make you perform better. Normally I just run a suppressor anyway, so whether they allow suppressors or don't allow suppressors, I enjoy the 3-prong. And then if any type of night match happens, the flash from a muzzle brake and the concussion is just ridiculous. And even with this, I've had going into a barrier and them having stuff around the barrier and you're going in through the porthole, it's blowing shit everywhere into your face anyway. So I'm not a huge fan of the muzzle brakes, even for competition wise. So the light is just a stream light. I don't need anything crazy or super expensive. I don't really even use this rifle that much at night, so it's kind of just on there to be on there. A big reason I love this rail is its rigidity and a little bit oversized. The BCM rail is extremely lightweight, extremely thin, but it heats up really fast. So when you're doing long strings of fire, 40, 50 rounds in super quick succession in a stage environment, especially with a suppressor, it gets hot. And I don't really want to wear a glove. I could, but I don't want to. This rail doesn't heat up nearly as fast as the standard BCM rail. So for that, I really enjoy it. And it has a great lockup. And it has this bottom plate here is enlarged, I'd say. And it's a nice flat spot when you are resting it on a barrier without a bag. It makes it just kind of a nicer, steadier platform, and you have more to rest it on. So going into why I have a smooth lower end and no hand stop, I did run hand stops for quite a while. It was kind of the whole move if you were in the T-Rex arms range of 2019, which is kind of when I started to get into this. Yeah, you gotta have that grip, really be able to pull tight into you, which it does allow you to. However, Matt Pranka, who I follow quite often, he kind of referenced against them, and I figured I'd try it, and I've done a couple matches and a lot of practice without them and realized I really don't need it to be able to be consistent. And usually when you're throwing in, it is empty, a reload, and you go back up here, you may be, and you're doing this quickly in a match environment, it may be that you can't get your hand quite in the same spot, and if you're back a little bit or forward a little bit, it really isn't a big deal because you don't have that hand stop blocking you and potentially fucking up your mindset. It is a potential, even in a real situation, and most guys are strong enough to be able to hold it without a hand stop, in my opinion. And then if you do go to throw it on top of a car or a hood or anything like that, now you have 2 inches of space compared to a whole rail to lay that rail on there. It is pretty advantageous in my opinion. So going down to on what I have on top, it's a T2 and a Reptilia mount. The Reptilia mount is awesome. It is a 193. I do really enjoy a little bit more of a heads up position, but nothing crazy to like a 226. I wouldn't really go any higher than a 193. I can do a 154 just fine, a lower 1/3. However, so far this has been my preferred height, is that 193. Super simple. It allows easy access to adjust the brightness. And yeah, the T2 is great. If you're slamming into things, it's not gonna break on you. Talking about sling setup, this is a T-Rex arm sling. It's very minimalist. It's very easy to adjust, and I really enjoy that. I have a little bit different of a setup than most people. I do like the C-clip on the side mount. I think mainly for when you're storing it, it stores nice and flat, and it does have a lot easier of access as far as where it can rotate and move around to. And it is noisier than a D-clip, but I don't really care. It's a competition anyway. Again, I'm not doing reconnaissance with this thing, so you could, but I'm not. Continuing down the line, charging handle is a Aero Breach. I kind of just threw it on here. I wanted to try it one day. I love Radian, but for 55 bucks, I was like, well, I'll give this a shot. And so far it's been great. I haven't really had any issues. I've seen people breaking them. I didn't like it at first, but it's kind of growing on me. We'll see if I keep it on there. Not really sure yet. I do run a infamous bad lever. I enjoy it. Especially for ending stages, you have to show clear and then unload the chamber, which means you have to take out the magazine and then rack it back, show clear, and it's super easy just to do that, show them it's clear, put in the safety chamber flag, send it, call it a day. It just makes manipulating that much easier. Yes, I could do this and lock it open. Either way, it just is that much simpler. So yes, I run it. No, I have not had any issues, and I don't see any reason to run an ambi lower in my opinion. This is just a basic arrow lower, and it works great. So talking about the trigger, this is a Geisley SSA-E. Most of you in the industry know that it is pretty much the best. You can get away with the LaRue trigger, the MBT, those are great also. But for around 150 bucks, when these things go on sale, you can't beat it. I'll show some clips here of just super fast, consistent shooting, either long range or close range. The 2-stage is great. It's really, really awesome on that one. As far as the grip, I just have your standard BCM Mod 2, and it's wide. I enjoy it. And for the stock, it's a CTR. It has a very nice lockable feature which keeps the rattle down, and it's very slimline, and it really does just what I need it to. I would argue it's one of the best for this sort of patrol carbine, competition carbine. I don't need a super awesome cheek weld. I'm not really doing long range, and for this reason, it works great. So I hope you got something out of this. I know it's super quick and concise, but really there's not much to it. It's a reliable red dot, reliable handguard, a reliable upper, reliable muzzle device, and when the competition allows for it, a reliable suppressor, okay? With this setup, this is something I don't want to fail. When I go to a match, I want 0 hangups and 0 issues on the gun side. Any issues that's gonna come up, I want it to be I don't want it to be from me, but if it's gonna be from anybody, I want it to be from me and not my equipment. So that's pretty much what this allows for. It's worth spending the extra money on a BCM versus a PSA or anything like that. I love PSA, I have a PSA rifle, but honestly, if you think you can't afford a BCM or something nicer, you actually can't afford to buy a PSA. Because if you go to matches, after 3,000 rounds of really hard use, you're gonna notice a lot more wear than you would on a BCM like this, and you really can't afford to lose when those things start failing, and they're gonna start failing sooner. If anybody can attest to that, I'd start following Ben Stager. He's been doing a lot of shooting on the Arrow rifles, who a lot of people consider mid to low tier, and he's having quite a bit of troubles with that gun as far as the bolt carrier goes, and now the barrels. So I don't have any Arrow guns, but I really recommend if you're gonna be doing competitions and hard use on these rifles that you get something advantageous to your budget and spend a little bit more to make it last, you know, twice, sometimes 3 times as long. All right, I hope you got something out of this. I really enjoy this rifle. I absolutely love it, and I love shooting competitions. So I hope that this inspired you in some way to go take your rifle from going shooting with the boys and having a little fun to doing some competition with the boys and changing it up. All right, have a good one.
Stand by.